So in 1971, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. So what did that mean? That meant the U.S. government, the U.S. Treasury, could now print money. So the U.S. Treasury would sell a bond to the Fed. Over here would be the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, ECB, and all this. So in 71, it was the U.S., not anybody else, basically screwed the world economy. We'll give the banks all the money they want so you won't crash. So the banks and Treasury and the central bank, the Fed and Bank of England, they're like keeping this thing on. So everything's inflated now.
They're pushing money into the system to prop it up every time.
Fake money.
Fake money.
This is fake money going in. So 87, there was, the real estate, everything's getting expensive. Inflation's going crazy. This is the 80s.
Right.
87 crash, big crash. Then in 2000, the dot-com crash hits. So Greenspan kind of panics and he says, oh my God, we better keep this thing going because that was a pretty big pop, So 2008, that's when everybody was into derivatives and, pumping this baby up. And it did nearly come down. We had some Lehman came down and Bear Stearns was wiped out. And it was like this. So what did Bernanke and those guys do? More. So after 2008, they just kept pumping it, and it's getting worse. So now we have the stock market, this one area of the economy, all-time highs, floating on fake money. Real estate, I don't know how people can afford to live. In New York, I was looking at a condo for $55 million. Real estate in Silicon Valley, you can't afford to live there. And then all these companies started borrowing money, so the economy's good, and unemployment's low, and all this. They say there's no inflation, but have you seen the price of food, real estate, and student loans and medical? It's a bubble, So now what's going to happen is the baby boomers, my generation, are going to start to retire. There's no money there. Social Security is broke, pensions are broke, the students are broke. They're screwing everybody with debt. So let me ask you a question. This is
making me nervous.
I know. This is called, not economics, this is called bubblenomics. But they'll never teach you this in school.
And why do they keep printing money? Because they want to save something.
Because it's an addiction. This is like heroin. The moment you take that one hit, they say, okay, I'll quit next week. And the economy gets worse. Trump gave us a tax cut in America. This thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So what happened in 2008, they stopped it by printing money. So they call it the Great Recession. But they didn't really fix anything. Derivatives went from 700 trillion to 1.2 trillion today. Twice as much. And that is net. Doesn't tell the whole story. So when the recession hit, the PhD standard came in. That was Bernanke, and then Yellen. The PhD said, they have PhDs. Well, it's no different than long-term capital, LTCM. They had Nobel Prize winners, people like my poor dad, academics, So anyway, this is what's going on in the world economy today. So the baby boomers are going to retire now. Student loans are bust. So do you have to be an economist to say what's going to happen? Because we're fighting a 12-year war now. Entitlements are going through the roof. National debt to GDP is 109 in America, 109%. 90% is too late. We have to keep printing now. After 2011, the market crashed in 2008 because the repo market went bad. And the repo market was the credit of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns was bad. So they hammered, it's a long story. My friends are all inside that world. But then when it came back out, they just started pumping money. And what they did was they kept printing more money to save a bad economy. It was already crashing again in 2011, but they kept printing money. And today we're going to pay that price. I use debt because debt is tax-free money. What I did was I rehabbed my apartment, 13,000 of them. I just kept buying more with the cash flow, and I'd refinance out as interest rates dropped. So I'm in good shape now. Then I took them, set all interest rates right now. So I use debt. I don't flip houses. Remember all those guys were flipping?
So everybody flipped.
Oh, they were stupid. When the moment you flip, you have a tax consequence. I never flip. I finance out. There's tax-free money. And not only that, is when I started investing, I had to invest at 12% interest rates. And that's why I said being an old guy has its advantages, because these guys are crying the blues at what, 5%? Oh, give me a break. You move to Gilligan's Island and play the ukulele or something. You know what I mean? Because every time I borrow more money to float my properties, there's 3 types of tax breaks, like an appreciation, depreciation, and amortization. So I zero out. So my cost of money is, my tax on debt is 0, but I don't have any plans on going to jail and dancing the hula for some guy. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather stay out of jail and make money. So let's say I make $1 million. I have to buy a $4 million apartment house. Then appreciation, depreciation, amortization wipes out my income from my business. The Fed cannot print beef. So I started, when Biden took the Keystone XL pipeline off, my oil I was selling from the ground, which is a tax break also, went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel. Today it's like $120. Oh my God, this guy Biden is going to bankrupt us. I'm not saying him, but there's somebody who wants to bankrupt, because oil is the lifeblood of civilization. I worked for Standard Oil of California as a tanker officer when I graduated from school. I understand oil. I was on the Alaska pipeline and all this. I'm like, he's screwing us. So when he raises inflation, the poor and middle class will go broke. And that was just done as soon as he was being done before he took office. And so I'm looking at this guy's going to sell America down the drain. I'm not saying it's him, but somebody wants us to go broke. And I'm watching this going, oh my God. So what else so I have oil wells. I get tax breaks for those, because I don't invest in oil stocks. I work for Standard Oil, but I don't invest in Standard. I invest in the oil in the ground. I'm a wildcatter. Everybody says don't do it. I don't recommend it, but I like doing it. Gold mines don't do it. I like doing it. But the biggest thing of all is food. And so my friend was a school system in California. He had to run from California because he got tired of being in the People's Republic of California. So he moved to Wyoming and bought this huge ranch. And he says, oh my God, I never knew there was so much money in Wagyu cattle. I went, what? So I was up in Wyoming inspecting this Wagyu bull. And the good thing about it, it's some real Japanese Wagyu bull. There's American Wagyu bulls and Japanese Wagyu bulls. But for some reason, you know how brands are, Wagyu is a brand like Ford or Chevy, Wagyu beef. So I stood up on stage the other day. I said, well, I've always wanted to be a Japanese breeding bull, but I bought a bull instead of, nobody laughed. Every time that bull has, you know what I'm talking about, a breeding bull, I don't want to own the cattle. I just want to own the semen. There's more opportunity today than ever before, but not if you've been brainwashed into going to school, getting a job, paying taxes, live debt-free, and invest in the stock market. You know, this bubble right now is a bigger bubble than 2008. This is the everything bubble. So it's going to be not only stocks, bonds, but also credit. But it's more opportunity is going to come out of it. And that's what I'm saying. Be careful who you listen to, because your best asset, but also your biggest liability, are the ideas in your head. And be careful who puts them there. One more quick story, really quickly. I hang out with a friend. He's a billionaire. I mean, most of my friends are billionaires, close friends, you know. No, but we're billionaires because of debt. We didn't sit there and save our pennies. So anyway, we said, well, is there a crash coming? So I don't know. We're looking for a sign from God. So right after they kind of lifted all the things on COVID, we walked into this restaurant right down the street here in Scottsdale, and everybody was dressed in evening gowns, you know. And he looked at me and I looked at him and said, the crash is coming. I said, when you have all these old guys like me and their wives dressed in evening gowns, you know the end is near. We call it the evening gown theory of economics. Everybody, no. Just before every crash, people are the happiest. And then they get really depressed, and that's when the capitalists get rich, because everything goes on sale. And so everything's opposite. There's always the 3 sides to every coin: heads, tails, and the edge of the coin. And I stand on the edge. I say, well, it's boom and bust and all this. But anyway, everything is opposite. There's always 3 sides to a coin: heads, tails, and the edge. And intelligence is found at the edge. And our trouble with opinion is you have to take a side. So Americans would not support us in Vietnam. Our own media betrayed the troops on the ground.
You think the media still lies to people?
Of course. They're run by China. I mean, how can we have 2 national anthems today? That was Marx. He was a racist. If you just study history. But our school system, they only report one side. So when I come taxiing back in 1973, coming back 1 year in Vietnam, and I get spit on, hit by eggs, my own baby boomers, friends. I come home, I get spit on at school in Hawaii and all this. The media turned against us, the soldiers, the Marines, the sailors, the women, the men. It was horrible. And they don't understand that socialists killed the most people in history. We just went to defend it.